Thanks for tuning in to another video. And are you looking for a no-frills fitness band that nails all the basics and still delivers excellent battery life at a great price? Well, then you might be interested in the Xiaomi Band 10. And this is the full review of this device. The features that it has works well, but it does have limited smartwatch features, which some viewers might miss. And there are a few cons, which I will tell you about, but for $55, you might be willing to overlook them. And this watch is compatible with Apple and Android. Let's talk about the build quality. Now the Band 10 is made of aluminum and it has like a brushed metal design there, which some people like and some people don't. Let me just show you the back here. Now there is a ceramic version available on the Band 10, and unlike the Band 9, which the ceramic version was only available in China, the Band 10 ceramic version is more readily available. Now this watch does not have buttons, which I wish it did, because sometimes it makes navigation just a little slow and a little frustrating. I'll show you that in just a little bit. Now the screen here is made of glass, but the exact type is not specified by Xiaomi. So if you are hard on watches, I'd probably recommend putting a screen protector on here. Now the watch is rated for 5 atmospheres, and you can see the water sports here. Now I always kind of recommend being a little careful with water, because all the ratings are for fresh water only, and if you use this in the water a lot and it gets kind of damaged, I've never heard of a company actually honoring any kind of warranties. And of course, I wouldn't recommend using this in a hot tub or a sauna or anything like that. But for swimming, I think you're okay. Now the Band 10 does come in 3 different colors, as you can see here. It's Midnight Black, Glacier Silver, and Mystic Rose. Now I'll leave a link in the description for you to buy this watch if you want to check out the latest price on Amazon. And if you want to support the channel, I'd appreciate it. And it is at no additional cost to you. Now, the Band 10 also does come in the ceramic edition, which I mentioned before, and it comes in the color pearl white. But the Band 10 also comes in a glimmer edition, and it's called Glimmer Gold. So there are a couple of different options this year, which is great. The band comes in only one size, and it is an 1.72-inch AMOLED display. And you can see here the bezels are kind of thin, for a $55 watch. I think that's not too bad. And it is also very symmetrical, whereas the Band 9 had a little bit of a chin on the bottom here. This just looks a little nicer. And the resolution is 212 by 520. To make the screen look great, and all the details are very visible, some small details are still very visible on the watch. You do get a refresh rate of 60 Hz on here, and the brightness goes all the way up to 1500 nits. And it also does have an ambient light sensor, which I thought worked very well. And it also does have an always-on display, so let me show you that. We got to scroll up here and get into settings. I'll show you how to move these apps in just a little bit here, but right now we're just going to hit the display. And I'm going to go into always on display right here. And throughout the video, even though this is a full review, for the budget watches, I usually do the full review and the tips and tricks all in one video. So I'll have a bunch of tips throughout the entire video. So of course you have to watch every minute to get all of them. Devious, I know. So we could set the schedule to smart, which basically means it will turn it off when it senses that you're going to sleep, or we could actually pick a schedule. But let's just turn it on right now, and it's going to tell you that it's going to use some battery. And of course, we're going to still go for it. And now, let me show you what the always-on display looks like. So you actually have to wear the watch to get the always-on display to light up. And some watches have the built-in always-on display, so it could be different than your watch face. So if you have a digital watch face, you could have an analog always-on display or vice versa. For this one, it will just be the minimization of whatever watch face that you have. So it will basically just follow the watch face. So you can see what I have here. And if I just turn this on or tap it here, you get that, which is, again, just the always-on display is just the minimized version of this watch face. Now the great thing here is that the ambient light sensor actually works with the always-on display. So depending on what lighting situation you're in, the always-on display will get brighter or dimmer. So right now I can see it pretty good, but as you can see now, it is super dim to make out. I can barely even see it. And that does that if you're not moving at all, it will kind of just power down to save battery. But if I just kind of move a little bit, I'm not raising my wrist to turn it on, but I'm just moving a little bit here, it will turn back on. There you go. So let's talk about the band here. So it is a proprietary band, which anyone who watches my videos knows I don't really love that. But I also don't love this design. And this is on several budget watches where it just kind of feeds through the loop here and it just pops into the hole like there, if you can see it, and you just stick it in there. This design actually kind of has fallen off a lot. It just kind of pops off and then it will just go like this and just fall off your wrist. And the band is so light that you won't even know it's gone. And this can happen if you're just putting on a shirt or something like that, or if it just kind of bangs into something, you could just pop it off and it goes away and you kind of lose it. So that's happened to me on several watches with this kind of band. Again, it's the same design as those watches, but this one is actually a little bit better because popping it in the holes, it's actually a little bit of a struggle to get it in the hole. And I know there's probably a joke in there somewhere, but let's keep moving. But if you do put it in here, you actually have to put a lot of force in there to push it in, and it does stay better than most other watches that I've had with this design. But just be aware of that. If you feel like it's a little bit loose, then you may want to consider changing the bands. And of course, Xiaomi has a lot of bands that are available for this watch. The other nice thing about this is that they come off very easy. So there's a little button right here, if you see, and they're very easy. A lot of bands are very difficult to push that button in. You got to push with your nail and, really use a lot of force. This one comes out very easy. And then to put it back on, I'm just doing it behind the camera here, it goes on and off very easily. Okay, we have to talk about the battery, because the battery capacity, while not all that impressive, at 233 milliamp hours, you have very impressive battery life on this. You get 21 days in normal use per Xiaomi, 18 days if you're using the NFC, which you can only use in China, 9 days with the always display on, and to charge it, it takes about an hour. Now, in my use, without the always on display and using it for sleep tracking every night, I got on average 18 days, which is really good. So if you have this watch and you're using it, go ahead, leave it in the comments. What is the battery life that you're getting? I'd love to hear from other people and see what the results are. This is your battery charger that you get. USB-A over here, and you got the magnetic pins, like on the Band 9, the same thing actually. But if I put it on here, this actually holds pretty well. The magnets are pretty strong, so if you put this on, you can put it down and be confident that it's not going to just pop off real easy. You could pull it off, obviously, but it's pretty tight on there. Now, an unexpected bonus of this watch is that you do get a basic battery manager on here, which is not expected at this price point. So let me just show you that quick. We got to swipe up here. I got to get into settings. I'll show you these apps in just a little bit here, but I'm going to move down here to battery. There we go. Let's tap on that. And you can see the percentage, obviously, how much time I have left. You could put it in battery saving mode, and then you can see how much extra time you'll get. But if we go back here, I wanted to show you the optimization. So if I click on this, it's saying poor, mostly because I have everything on. So it's basically recommending, hey, maybe turn some of these things off. But it will tell me exactly what is using a lot of battery, what features are using a lot of battery, and then I could toggle them off right here. Because if I didn't know all these things were on, that would be one issue. But maybe I didn't even know that these things were using a lot of battery. If I don't need it to measure my breathing rate, or if I don't use it for sleep tracking, well, I could just turn this stuff off right here, which is really nice. Same thing like with SPO2. If I'm not using it, I just click on it and I could turn it off. Now let me show you some navigation. Now I'm just going to change the watch faces throughout the video just so you can kind of see what's available. Towards the end of the video, I'll go through the app and I'll show you the watch faces that are available, or some of them, so you can get sort of a feel of what is available here. But there's a lot of different kinds and types here. Okay, so let me show you some of the navigation. So if I swipe down, I get my notifications. If I swipe up, I get the apps, and I'll just go through these really quick here. I'll spend a little more time on some of the important apps in just a little bit here, but then I could also hit more. Let me get to the top here, and then these are the other apps that are available. And I'll show you how to move all these things around as well. This little toggle was added on the Band 10. This was not available on the Band 9. And you can see here, it's just like a quick toggle with a couple of things you can access real fast, and then you can get into the settings menu real fast. This I can't delete from my widget, so that will always be there. But if I keep going, I get into my widgets. And these things I can adjust. I'll show you how to do that. Well, I guess I'll show you that right now. But let me just show you here to the end. I get to my clock. Then if I swipe back this way, I get back to my widget. So it's just kind of an endless loop. But if I wanted to change these, I can't do it in the app. You can only actually do it on the watch. But obviously I could just hit the minus right there and delete it. And then I could add them. So I could show you what is available here. There's a couple of things you could add. Not too bad, right? Okay, now if I just scroll over here, I'm going to push and hold it, and now I could move it to wherever I want. You can see it sliding behind there, and now it's in a new position. I know that was a little tough to see on the video here. Let me see if I could do it like this. There we go. Now I got the stress, and I'm just sliding it behind the other ones, and then I just moved it to over there. And I got to save the changes. And then my stress is kind of in the front there. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so I'm going to go back and forth a little bit because maybe that makes the video a little more exciting. I don't know. Let me see. So let me just show you in the app, and I'll show you how to move these apps right now. So it is the Mi Fitness app that you need. I'll just magnify that so you can see it. And then we're just going to get into it here. Okay, so there's 4 little sections of the app. I'll show you this again towards the end of the video, but for right now, we're just going to go into device here. And then we're going to scroll down. To move the apps, it's not in the app section, which maybe you would think, but you have to go into system and then sort apps right here. So we click on that, and then this is all the apps here. And these are the ones that appear on the main screen. So let me just go up here. So you see there, if I swipe up, if you see the first three here, stats, workout, and activity, stats, workout, and activity, and then that is the list going through here all the way down to the bottom. Now, this term right here, rarely used items, that is the More app. So it's not really clear, but now you know. So if you watch this video, you'll know what to do. But in the More app, this is basically a spot where you could put a lot of different apps, and it's just in this one app. So maybe it's apps that you use, but you don't use them that much. You can put them in here. And if I click on that and go to the top, you'll see events, tasks, and breathing, events, tasks, and breathing, right? And then the list goes on. Now, I could hide these if I really don't use the apps. I could just kind of get rid of them like that. I could just hit minus, and now it's down here. I could also just slide it down here like this, and now it's hidden. And that's two ways to do it, but I'm just going to add it back in. And again, all of these are in the More app. And if I want to put them into my main app screen, then I could just hold it and scroll it over here. And now it's on my main screen. And now it's saved. And if you scroll here, let me get back to my main app screen. If I scroll down to the bottom here, you'll see events right there. So it's added on. So again, that's just a way to move these apps around. You can get rid of them and you could delete them and stuff like that. But there are no third-party apps you can add onto this watch, just to be clear. And there are also no other apps that you could add through the Me app. Some budget watches have a companion app that you could actually able to add some different apps to this. What you see is what you get on this one. But again, keep your expectations in check. It's $55. It's $55 in the United States. I don't know how much it is where you live, but hopefully it's a good deal for you. Okay, now let's talk about some fitness features of this watch. You get all the usual measurements of the heart rate, the SpO2, your stress. It does track all your exercises and your sleep data, so no problem with that, and I found everything to be very accurate. There is no blood pressure measurement on here. There's no ECG. There's no barometer. There's no temperature sensor. But all of that is not expected at this price point. I'm just letting you know in case you were looking for it. Now, the SpO2 and the stress, you cannot change the frequency of how often you want it to be done. You might want to decrease the frequency to save some battery, but you can't on this one. But you can modify the heart rate. So let me just scroll over here. I have heart rate as my first widget. And let me just tap this. It's going to try to do a measurement. And I'm going to scroll down to settings. I tap on this. And this is what I can change. The frequency right here, I can turn it off, smart, or 110 or 30-minute intervals. Then I could also do the high heart rate alert and the low heart rate alert right on the watch, which is great. Let me show you what you can do on the app. So for the app, I'm in the device portion of the app, and we're going to go into fitness and health right here. And the heart rate, again, same thing I was actually doing on the watch. So I can change my frequency right here. And then high heart rate alert and low heart rate alerts. And let me just show you what you can get for the blood oxygen. This one you can turn it on and off, but you can't change the frequency. That's just the way it is. And then if I do have it on, I could do the low value if I want, just as a warning, and I could, pick 80, 85, or 90%. I have it off right now. And stress, same thing. All day monitoring, I could either turn it on or off. I can't specify the frequency, but I could do the relax reminder if I want. And then basically if I'm getting very stressed, it will just give me some breathing exercises to relax. We got to turn that off, otherwise I'd be breathing all day, right? We can't have that. Let's get out of here. And this was in this area, the fitness and health. But if you also go into the health page, which is the beginning page here, and let's do heart rate. Let me just click on this. If I click on these three icons up here, hopefully I'm not going too fast. Leave it in the comments if I'm going too fast or too slow. And then we click on the three dots up here. We got the options here, but settings is what I want to show you. So if I click on that, again, this is the same page I had before where I can change the frequency and my alerts. So it's in two different places, and it's that way also for, stress, same thing. I'll show you sleep data in just a minute. But again, the same page that we just saw before. Now, another question you might have is, what about GPS? Well, there is no built-in GPS on this, so it will use your phone's GPS. And if you don't take your phone with you when you go for your bike ride or your run, well, then you're not going to get any GPS data. Sorry about that. So let me talk about some workout details here. You do get 150 different sports modes, and I'll just show you how they're listed here. You just go to workout, and you got your main ones here. You can't reorder this at all or edit it at all. It doesn't, to me here, it doesn't seem that when you do an exercise, it automatically populates to the top. It seems that the most frequent exercises pop to the top here. So if you do something, it will move up in the first couple of categories. But if you've been biking 100 times and running 50 times, those would be the top two. And then you jump rope for 5 times, that would be a third one. That's what it seems like right now. I mean, that might change with the software update, but at least if you have some exercises, or 5 or 6 exercises that you do all the time, they'll be populated right here on this first page, because if you want to try to find them, you have to go here, and then you have it's categorized, which is kind of nice. But then if you want, dance, you can see here I have to go through all this, and I got to pick this, and that's a lot if I want to do this exercise like on a daily basis. So if I do pick one, pole dancing, I don't know why it stopped there, but let's keep moving. And you can't edit them here or on the app as of now. If you found a way to do it, leave it in the comments. The watch will also measure your VO2 max, which is nice. Again, that's not available on most budget watches. And you do have a feature for auto detection here. So let me show you that. Let me scroll down to settings. That's where this will be. And I'm just going to show you where it is. And then you'll see what the watch actually auto detects. So it's right here, auto detect, and I click on here. I can turn it on and off. And you can see here what it will detect. Those are the exercises. And then you can click this on if you wanted to tell you when it's done auto detecting. That's up to you. But the other thing about this is the auto detect works, not all the time. I don't know, maybe half the time, maybe a little more. There's a lot of times that it just didn't work for some reason. But when it does work, it actually registers it pretty quickly within the first few minutes. And then let me just show you here if I do start a workout. Right here, start this. And let's just do walking here. And I'm going to hit go. And we'll just start. Now, this is my page here, and you do get actually a couple of different pages here, and you do get different data points depending on what exercise you're doing. So if I scroll over here, I get access to my music app, and so whatever I'm playing on my phone, I can control on the watch, but I cannot download any music to the watch. I could go to the next track, previous track, I can change the volume, all that stuff right from the watch though. Then if I wanted to end it, I just go over here, and I just got to hold it until it does that circle, and then we're done. Then I'll also just show you if I do a free cycle here, if I hit this little icon down here, it will give me the ability to change my goal if I want. So I have an open goal right now, which is basically nothing, but I can change the duration or by calories. And just in case I forget to mention it, I found the heart rate and the step counter to be accurate in my testing. Now let me just show you a couple more things that are workout related here, because that's the section we're talking about. So if I scroll up here and we get into apps, I'm going to show you this one, running course. So you have a bunch of pre-made running courses here that you may or may not like. Let me just click on it here, and it lists them out. There's a bunch here, right? There you go. Now, if you click on one of these, and I would just hit this little eye over here, it'll show you what it is. If I could hit that. There we go. So here it goes, and you got your sprint, jog, sprint. It kind of alternates what to do, and it will give you a timer for it. And you can't change any of this stuff, but there's kind of a lot of features here that you can go through, and I'm sure one of them is kind of close to what you're looking for. So kind of cool, right? Another thing that is available on this watch that wasn't available on the Band 9, not that I'm doing a comparison. I did 2 comparison videos if you're interested. If you check out my channel here, I have a short on it, and I also, if you have a little more time, I also have a long video that I went into all the details about the Band 9 and Band 10 and what the differences were. But for now, let's get right to it here. You get an electronic compass, which wasn't available on the Band 9. It seems to work for me. You got this layout, and then if you click on it, you get this layout, whichever one you want. And if you want to go back to the other one, you have to swipe. You can't just tap it for some reason. You can't just tap it to get back. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. One more thing in the fitness area here. A lot of people leave comments and they want to know what apps they can send their data to and keep track of stuff. Well, if you click on here, third-party data, this is what is available. Again, that is as of now. That might change in the future, but that's what you have now. A little limited, but again, it's a $55 watch. And while we're here, let me get into sleep tracking, because I promised you that. It's right up here, and let's just click on it. So you can see what you get here. You get an animal if you want that. It gives you your time, like every other watch. You get your standard graph right here. It did miss some of my wake ups sometimes. It seemed pretty good for me, for again, for the price that it's at. But it also does break down your stages right here, and a little more detail here. And then you do get a sleep efficiency score. I don't think I was at 97%. I don't think that's possible, because I wake up and I'm exhausted all the time, as you know if you watch my channel. But there we go. And 8 minutes to fall asleep, I don't think so. But again, it's just kind of to give you a general guideline. So if you are changing your behaviors and doing different things, maybe you could see how your sleep data improves or gets worse. But it does give you a breathing rate, which again, not all budget watches have, so that's nice. Now, while we're in the sleep data here, if we click on these little dots up here like we did for the other data, we'll go into settings. And both of these are actually turned off by default, probably to save some battery. So if you are planning on using this for sleep tracking, you might want to turn these things on. Then you'll get the REM tracking, and then you'll get the breathing rate. Again, if you're using it, if not, just turn those off. But they were off by default for me. Again, anytime there's a software change, any of these things can change, but that's where it was for me. Okay, and you know how I do my videos here. I always show you what a phone call looks like and what a text looks like, so you're not surprised when you get it. So this is what a phone call looks like coming in, and I'll also show you what the options are to reply to it. So here's my phone call coming in there, and I could end it right away. You'll notice there's nowhere for me to answer this because there is no mic or speaker on here, but I could end it. I could swipe up, and I can decline the call with a quick reply if I want. And I could edit these quick replies, so I'll show you that quick as well. So to toggle the quick replies and adjust what you can decline a call with, you have to be in the device portion of the Mi Fitness app, and then we go into notifications and calls. So you wouldn't really expect it, but if you toggle this, it opens up another menu setting here, and you could do these things, but you have to toggle this on, which is reply with message, and then you got to turn on quick responses. So let's turn that on. Then this is what you have here. I could edit these if I want. I could minus them. I could move them, so they're in a different order if I want. I could check that. And then I could also add one, and we could type whatever we want, and then I could check that and save it. And then that would be my quick reply. So that's great. Now what about texts? Well, let me show you about that. Okay, so I have a text coming through right here, and there we go. And you can see here I got 2 of the emojis, not all of them. You also don't get pictures on here, but again, that's not expected. But there's no way to do anything with this. So if I tap on this, I can't. Well, now it's lost. But if I hit this, I can't reply to this. I can't send an emoji. I can't do a quick reply like I could on the phone call, again, which is weird. So basically, there's nothing I can do. There's no speech to text. There's nothing. So when I do get a text, I will see it. That's it. And then I could just dismiss it. That's my only option. But again, this is a budget watch, and I told you it was missing some smart features. So that is probably the biggest one that I noticed. Okay, so we're getting towards the end of the video here. I have a few more things to talk about. But if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, go ahead and do that. I really appreciate that. Maybe I'd really appreciate that too. Make a comment of what you think about the video, as long as it's positive. And we're going to keep moving though. So another nice feature about the Band 10 is the vibration motor was improved. So it's actually pretty strong now. But another nice thing is that you can customize it, which is great. So let me show you here. We're going to get into settings. And then if we scroll here to vibration. I'm trying to do this behind the camera here, sorry. So we got the vibration. You can obviously toggle it on and off, but if you do toggle it off, then you won't get any notifications because there is no speaker, like I said before. But the intensity you can change. But then this is the nice thing, custom vibration. So if I click on this, so I can change my vibration pattern depending on what notification I'm getting. Now, some of these are nothing. Like I do gold notification, it's just default. I don't have any other options. I feel like maybe they were planning on adding some, but they just didn't. But if I click up here, let's get into alarms. And you can see here I got beeper and good day. And I can choose one of those. But then if I swipe out of that, if I do task reminders, I get the default. But if I go into incoming calls, I get these two, which are different than what was on the alarm feature. So again, it's nice that you have a couple of different options here, and you could actually tell from the vibration what the notification is that you're getting. So there's no third-party apps that you could add to this, and there's no apps that you could add from the companion app, Mi Fitness. So what you see here is all you're going to get. And I'm just going to go through these, but I showed you several of these already. I'll just scroll through them here. I'll just point out that the calendar, you don't get any, it's basically just an event calendar. So it'll just show you what's going on, and you scroll up, you just see that. And if you have an event, it will show you that there. But there's no monthly view on here or, any kind of weekly view except for, the layout here, which is probably hard to do on this type of display. But again, just showing you what's there. Also, this calendar will not sync to your Apple or Google accounts. So basically, if you want to put an event on here, you have to add it in the Mi Fitness app. Same thing with the events right there. You add that on the Mi Fitness app. And just for completeness here, I'll scroll and show you tasks. That's another one that you can't add anything on the watch. You have to do it on the Mi Fitness app, and it will not sync to anything else. So if you want to keep things private and you're doing some nefarious things, well, you can get this watch and keep track of it all right here. But let's get back to where we were before. We were up to calendar and there's events. There's also no calculator on this watch, which, would have been nice to have. I don't use it all the time, but every once in a while it does come in handy. And then we're going to go into the More app. So this is basically a list of apps that you don't use as much, but you still want to have them kind of on the watch so you can access them. Let me just show you here. Find My Phone works perfect. And then the camera app, let me just show you that. So for the camera app, you do need to open up the app on your phone already to start with. And if you don't, it will actually tell you to do it when you click on the camera here. But once it's open, it's connected, and this works just fine. And then if you're taking a video on your, you see that it just took a picture. And then if you're doing a video on your phone, you can stop and pause it on your band, which, you know, what else can you ask for? Maybe a viewfinder in here so you can see what the picture was, but that's asking a little too much. It's a budget watch. So let me get out of that. This is all. Oh, and the flashlight. You do get a flashlight here, and you could do the flashing if you want to do that. And then you got the compass, which I showed you before. So I think that covers all the apps pretty well. Okay, I'm going to show you the watch faces in a moment, but I just wanted to show you this is the health portion, and it has everything listed out here really nice. And you could update these and move them around and do all that kind of stuff if you want. And then if you don't want something to show up on the home screen here, you could just hit minus. Then we could click that. Workout, these are the workouts that you've done. It resets every month, so that's why there's only one there. But then you can see what the exercises are that you did. And this is the VO2 max as well. The device here, let me just show you. Get up to the top here. Just gives you some basic information. It shows you the watch faces that are on your watch now, and you can change them right there if you want. We went through a couple of these things. The apps. This is just some apps. This is if you want to add a task, this is where you would do it. And you want to add an alarm, that's where you do it there. Music, you just turn it on and off. There's no way to store music on the band, but again, that's not expected. And then system, this is what's there. You could sort the apps. And then this is also the vibration. I showed you how to do it on the watch, and I might have said, now that I'm just thinking about it, I might have said that you can only do it on the watch, but you could actually do it right here. And again, some of them just have the default, and then some of them have like alarms, had two that you can choose from. And then you could actually also add one if you want. I'll just go through this really fast. But if you hit add, so every time you tap the screen, it's going to vibrate. And you can see here, you could tap each one. So you could have a weak vibration, then strong, and you could have any kind of pattern you want there. And this way you can make a specific pattern for whatever notification that you want, which is actually very detailed and very advanced for a budget watch. So let's just click yes. And now I could just do test one. I can call it whatever I want. But then if you'll notice, that's here. And then the other nice thing is if I go to incoming calls, I got test one. And I could use that as my vibration pattern, which is, again, kind of cool. If you really want to spend the time and do this, you could actually make some cool patterns. So you can just feel the vibration and know what notification you're getting. So that's kind of cool. And then, of course, you can find your device. That worked perfect. And let's go into more. That's what's there. Let's go into profile now. I'll show you those watch faces in just 1 minute. But a couple of things here. This actually, I always test this because I love this feature. So this is where your phone is connected to your watch through Bluetooth, and Bluetooth has a range of about 30 feet. So if you do forget your phone at a restaurant or a store or a bus or, whatever you're doing, and then you'll get an alert on your watch to tell you, hey, you left your phone behind, or you're separated from your phone at least, and you know to get back to it really fast before it gets stolen or broken or whatever. But I clicked it on here, as you can see, but it doesn't work well. And actually, this hasn't worked on other Xiaomi products that I've had as well. I'm not sure what the deficit is. Maybe it's a region-specific thing. I don't know, but you could leave it in the comments if it does work for you. It doesn't for me. Moving on. I showed you the third-party data, and there's really not too much else there. So let's get to the watch faces. So let me just show you the watch face I have on local here. And these are my watch faces, and you could see you could store quite a bit. Now, this is the biggest disappointment. If you see this here, if this was your watch face, what would you expect? So, there it is. That's all it does. I mean, I would really expect these things to be bouncing up and down in some animation, but it's not there. So that was a big disappointment for me. But anyway, let's go online here. You do have a couple of different categories here, and they actually update these picks. These actually change frequently, so they have the ones that they think are the best, or maybe they're rated in popularity from what people download. I don't know. There's some new ones here, and you could just see some of the different watch faces that are available. I mean, there's a couple of different designs here, right? So if I hit all here, it's categorized as you just saw, but if I hit all, it just categorizes them a little bit more. And here we go. And if you go, I'll just show you all the categories here. I mean, there's a fair amount of watch faces. But if you go here, and you got editor's picks as well. But if you go to Fresh and Fun, these are where some of the games are. This is all that I found so far. There's 6 of them. And then all you do, if you have a game, you just put it as your watch face, and then, you just go ahead and play. And then I got to get the ball into the goal over here, and I got it. See? Great job. So that's just kind of neat if you want to play games on your watch to pass the time. So that is all I have for the Xiaomi Band 10. Let me know what you thought of the video. If any of these tips were helpful, if any of the features I reviewed were new to you, or if this helped you make a decision to buy the watch or not buy the watch. I'd really appreciate hearing about it. And if you have any other general comments or updates, I'm sure other people would like to hear about it too. So go ahead and leave it in the comments. Check out my description if you want some more details about the watch or if you want links to buy it. And I really appreciate it. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching.